Viper V3 Pro or BEASTX Max. Both of these mice cost $150 US. Both have a lot of hype around them. Both are medium-sized claw grip gaming mice that work for 18cm and longer hands to claw grip. Both have really similar shapes. Both have 3950 sensors and 8000 Hz wireless polling rate. And both have been readily adopted by many professionals in Tier 1 FPS esports games like Valorant, Counter-Strike. So which one should you buy if you're looking for a high-performance claw grip gaming mouse? Starting off with the shape, and this is really a draw if we're talking about claw gripping in my personal opinion, since the shapes are very similar and they work for different audiences. The BEASTX Max has a more centered hump and a wider pinch point than the Viper V3 Pro, which has a more rearward leaning hump and a more narrow pinch point, not to mention a more bulbous rear end than the BEASTX Max, which really just looks like a bigger Viper Mini Signature Edition. If you like the Viper Mini shape but thought it was too small, the BEASTX Max is basically your solution. Since it's also metallic, it's not full magnesium, it's a magnesium composite, but it has a very similar shape. The Viper V3 Pro, as a result, does fill out the bottom of your palm quite a bit more than the top half. It also, because of the more rearward bulbous hump, kind of forces your hand to rotate a bit more backwards in a more of a relaxed claw grip that's very similar to what you get with a G Pro Superlight with the style of its shape. The BEASTX Max, with its more gentle curvature, less bulbous hump and more centered position of the peak of the hump, allows you to have more of an aggressive claw grip if that's what you desire, with a more forward-leaning claw. It also still is going to be plenty comfortable for a relaxed claw grip, though do note that this mouse will fill out the top half of your palm rather than the bottom half of your palm when you're holding onto it because of that more gentle curvature and that more centered hump. It's a little bit more of a flexible shape, the BEASTX Max, but if you're doing a relaxed claw or a traditional claw, the V3 Pro might be a little bit more supportive, though that just boils down to which you prefer. So it's a tie on this front. However, when it comes down to fingertip gripping and palm gripping these mice, I kind of have to say that this is more of like a BEASTX Max win. Because the hump is less protruding and less obtrusive, just makes it a lot easier to fingertip grip the mouse easily. It makes it a lot easier to palm grip more comfortably. Whereas on the Viper V3 Pro, when you do those things, it kind of feels like you're forcing a grip onto a mouse that was definitely not designed for it, because that hump really gets in the way, especially because of how bulbous and how rearwards it is. I think for fingertip and palm grips, the BEASTX Max is just the better option. Next up is the clicks, and I'm gonna mark it down to a tie because honestly, both are really good, though in their own special ways once again. The BEASTX Max I got here has the TTC Nihil switches, just stiffer than the Omron opticals that you can get, but also mechanical. So if you want a stiffer feel, you get these, and if you want optical technology, you get the Omrons. In terms of the feel of the clicks of the TTC Nihil, they are really, really good. It's crisp, it's sharp, there's basically no pre-travel, no post-travel, and very, very minimal sideways wriggle. The actuation distance of it is very, very short, so it feels very sharp and very, very quick and very, very precise, almost like a scalpel cutting through butter. The Viper V3 Pro has more of a clunkier click, using Razer's own optical switches. It's not bad, and there's a good reason why many people love these clicks. They're softer, they're thockier, and they have a bit more actuation distance, not to mention a little bit more looseness in the pre and post travel without feeling bad. I personally really prefer short throw, hyper fast, super precise feeling switches, so I prefer the TTC Nihils on the BEASTX Max. Essentially, if you want a more tactile, chunkier click, Viper. If you want a crisper, sharper, and slightly stiffer click, get the BEASTX Max, the TTCs. I haven't tried the Omron variant, so I can't comment. Next up, it's the scroll wheel. This is conclusively a Viper win. The BEASTX Max scroll wheel is a little bit slow feeling and a little bit mushy on the scroll. It's not as easy to precisely do a small scroll and not as easy to do a fast flick scroll like this, which does feel a little clunky and sluggish. So the Viper wins this one. As for the thumb buttons, it's very similar of a story to the clicks. The Viper V3 Pro thumb buttons have a little bit more play and a bit more looseness, as well as more actuation distance, and have a lower pitch, thockier feel. Whereas the BEASTX Max has a very sharp, high pitch, super fast, super crisp sounding and feeling thumb button. They unfortunately have a little bit more sideways wriggle than the Viper V3 Pro's thumb buttons, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I do prefer crisper and sharper clicks overall. So I like the BEASTX Max more, though I think for most people, the Viper V3 Pro will take the cake since it's more secure feeling and most people like quieter thumb buttons from what I've seen. Next up, it's the coating. And well, the BEASTX Max isn't actually a slippery mouse, even though it's a metallic composite. But the coating is poor. The only reason it's not slippery is because the holes are so big that you have no problem lodging your finger in there and getting a decent grip. But I think the coating wise, the V3 Pro is a hands down winner. This thing works amazing. People love it and can use it without the grip tape for good reason. Slightly wet hands, slightly dry hands, the V3 Pro has no problem giving you a good grip. You don't really have to use the grip tape, even though it does come with some. So yeah, this coating, peak. As for weight, well, this BEASTX Max just straight up wins it. I mean, it's 42 grams versus about 54 grams. It naturally has better balance since it's naturally lighter. Not that the V3 Pro is heavy and clunky by comparison, but in grams is about a 25% weight increase over the BEASTX Max, so it is actually quite noticeable. After that, we've got the mouse feet, and the V3 Pro comes with only one set, the set that's pre-installed. It's big and really built more for slower, grippier control. The BEASTX Max, though, seems to be set up more for speed. By default, it comes with dot skates, so really tiny white little circles that are very, very low in friction because they're so small, and it's not unstable or weird or anything because the mouse itself is so light that you have no problem using such small skates. However, for playing games like Valorant or Counter-Strike, you probably want to switch to the PTFE feet you find in the box. And thankfully, it does come with a whole lot of replacement feet. You got these full-size big PTFE feet. You've got small kind of corner piece PTFE feet if you want more grip but not too much. It even comes with a set of glass feet for reduced friction over the PTFE feet, but a little bit more friction than the dot skates, but more longevity as well as more stability since they're so stiff, which is really nice to see that you have all these options. But even the slowest feet option on the BEASTX Max is a little bit faster and lower friction than the V3 Pro. I think the BEASTX Max wins this just by virtue of having more options straight up in the box, which leads me to the next thing, accessories. This one is a straight up bloodbath for Razer. Despite costing the same amount of money, Razer has a significantly less number of accessories. Here are the list of accessories that the BEASTX Max comes with. You get a big foam padded pouch. You get a cable, of course. You get a 1000 Hz dongle as well as a 8000 Hz dongle. You get 4 sets of mice feet, including the ones pre-installed. Not to mention you have about 3 big extensive sets of grip tape. One that is very similar to the Pulsar Super Grip, but with a bit more of a texture on it. One that is a fancy gamer pattern on it, as well as one that's just black and slightly textured, as well as alcohol swabs to clean the mouse for better grip tape application. And what do you get with a Razer? Well, you get a mouse, a cable, 1 dongle, and some grip tape. In terms of accessories, Razer is just a non-compete. It's not really something that you should care about. But hey, you don't buy a mouse because of its accessories, though the accessories do make the BEASTX Max feel like a much more premium option, even though it's the same price. Next up, it's build quality, and this one is interesting for me. The BEASTX has been reported to have QC and creaking issues, but thankfully my unit is utterly flawless and I can only judge something based on what is in front of me. The BEASTX Max, perfectly great. The composite is strong, there's zero flex, and the magnesium feels extremely sturdy and premium. The Viper V3 Pro, also basically perfect. The plastic is sturdy and solid and really doesn't flex unless you really press hard down on it. And overall, also a very sturdy gaming mouse. Personally, I think it's a tie. Both have strengths and both have weaknesses. The BEASTX Max has loose thumb buttons, for example, but a lot more sturdy and locked-in clicks, whereas the V3 Pro has a little bit more looseness in the clicks, but sturdier thumb buttons. They trade blows, and I think it is a even tie. So which is the better mouse? Objectively speaking, I think it has to go to the BEASTX Max. Not necessarily making it the best mouse that you should buy, but it's just because it has more features, more innovations, more interesting things, a bigger, more exciting package with more accessories that is more well-rounded and feels more like a space-age fancy premium product that is on the latest and greatest of engineering. Whereas the Viper V3 Pro just feels like a improved, upgraded V2 Pro that has merged shape-wise with a G Pro Superlight. That's not all bad for the V3 Pro, but at the end of the day, if you're talking objectively which one packs more punch for the dollar, it has to go to the BEASTX Max. But the question is, which one is the best one for you? And I think the decision-making tree flowchart should come down to this. You should start off with seeing which mouse has deal breakers for you. And I think the BEASTX Max has quite a few deal breakers, which do make it less appealing for a good number of people. Three main deal breakers are you okay with these huge holes on the mice? The second is, can you get this to your country with reasonable shipping fees? If you live in a place where the shipping is going to be expensive as all hell, making this mouse more expensive than the V3 Pro by quite a bit, that has to be a deal breaker, especially if you are budget conscious. And last but not least, are you more okay with the risk of going with a smaller company like WL Mouse, which with the BEASTX and the BEASTX Mini seems to have some QC issues being reported. I haven't seen all that much about the BEASTX Max, thankfully, and my unit is absolutely flawless, like literally millimeter perfect, no real complaints here, but there is going to be a higher risk of QC and a longer support turnarounds if you're going with a smaller brand like WL Mouse. If you're okay with those deal breakers, which I am personally, then the V3 Pro and BEASTX Max comparison becomes more interesting. You can move on to comparing all the criteria I've already compared earlier in the video and decide based on which are the most important for you to make the right purchase decision. For me, I like the BEASTX Max. I just think it's a more exciting mouse for the price. I just think the shape is slightly better suited for me and the clicks are better suited for my tastes. So I'm going to be using it more than the Viper, though the Viper is still an excellent option in my mind and in my hands. So I hope this video was helpful and I would love to know what you're going to pick. Make sure you like and subscribe for more good content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.